Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music. Thanks for clicking on this video. We've got another great lesson from my guitar teacher, the main guitar teacher I had in my life. His name's Chris Sherlin. He's going to talk about a concept called the circle of fifths. That is a very important concept. I can't wait for him to show it to you. And also real quick, you know, he's got his own YouTube channel that he's started. Yes, my guitar teacher that taught me. So I would appreciate you guys going and checking that out. And so I've got a link below for that. And then as always, thanks for supporting me here at Marty Music. Subscribing, clicking the bell notification helps me out. So thank you. And all right, Chris, tell us about the circle of fifths.
Hey, thanks for having me back on the channel, Marty. I appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about the circle of fifths, and I have a question for you. Are you confused by the circle of fifths? If your answer is yes, you qualify as a normal human being. Because it's a strange, wacky concept. It's a mathematical truth, and so it's objective. It is always the same, but there's so many different ways to explain the circle of fifths. If you move clockwise, it's in fifths. If you go counterclockwise, it's in fourths. Is it a chord progression? What is it? And so what I want to do today is to try to demystify this a little bit. I'm going to show you a really easy way to put it on the neck. I'm going to show you sort of a longer path, and I'm going to show you a couple of applications of how to use the circle of fifths. As a guitar player sort of who's curious about music theory and wants to understand what it is and how to use it. All right, let's get started. Okay, so let's demystify that circle of fifths, shall we? Let's get it on the fretboard. First, we're going to get it on the screen. We're just going to leave it up there because there it is. Now it's not looking much like a circle because we really don't have the space here. It's just laid out. But you can see it starts on C and it ends on C, so that's a circle. If you look up circle of fifths, if you do a search for it, you'll find all of the great sort of circular diagrams that also show the enharmonics, which is where G flat and F sharp are the same thing, but we don't have to think about that too much. What we're going to do today is just get the circle onto the fretboard so we can use it. So the easiest way to do that, the cheapest and sort of easiest way to do that, I found, is to map it onto the A and the E string as just a cycle of notes. So we're just going to say the only strings we're going to use are E and A, and we're going to use the lowest note we can find. So the circle starts on C. There it is on the 3rd fret of the A string. So I'm going to play it with my ring finger, and I'm going to do that for a reason that's going to become very apparent quickly. So here's our C. The next note in the pattern is G. That's on the same fret on the E string. Now the circle goes in fifths, so the next note is in D. We're going to use the one on the A string. And now the next note in the circle is A. Next note on the circle is E. You see the pattern that's happening here? Then B. Then G flat. If we've never known this is a G flat before, we do now. But we've just been following this pattern, right? This is a G flat. Why? Because we're on the A string. Here's the A on the 12th fret. A, G, G flat. From G flat, we go to D flat. See, it's same pattern. A flat, E flat, B flat, F, and C. So it gets a little tricky when you go G flat, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat. Those might be notes that you don't recognize right away. And so the challenge is you can just play this pattern because it just goes across from the A to the E and then up a fifth, which is 2 frets, to the next string. Right? But I've gone past C. I don't even know what note I'm on now. So the whole idea behind the circle of fifths is that it becomes valuable when you can identify what the notes are. So just take your time with this. Start on C. It's really easy here. When you get here to the G flat, it gets a little more challenging. Just make sure you know what note you're on. Spend some time with that. It's important to sort of stay found. Instead of getting lost, you stay found, so you always know what note you're on. That's an important thing to do. Okay, now we're going to take that same pattern and we're just going to hang bar chords on it. Just bring it along. Bring these bar chords along with us. So here's our C. Whenever we're playing a bar chord with a root on the A string, it's this A shape. Hopefully you're familiar with that. And then whenever we're playing bar chord with a note on the E, with the root on the E string. It's our E shape. So now we're just going to play the same pattern, but we're going to bring whole chords with us. So here's C, G, D, A, E, B. Wait a minute. That sounds familiar. Check this out. It's Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix. It's Jimi Hendrix. It's Hey Joe. So there's a very useful example of the circle of fifths. It's Hey Joe. Hey Joe is the first 5 notes in the circle of fifths, just mapped as major chords. Beautiful. Now we've got a very, very practical example of how the circle of fifths is used. Obviously, the rest of the circle you want to complete with these chords. But that's a nice little diverge. That's a nice little divergence. Like, whoa, there's Hey Joe sitting right in the circle. That's good. The next thing we're going to do is do the same exact thing, but instead of bringing the bar chords with us, we're going to strip away the root and this big bar, and we're just going to use triads. And the triads we're going to use are going to be on the D, G, and B string. So if you look at these 2 bar chords, you just look at the notes on the D, G, and the B string. These are our 2 triads. This happens to be a second inversion triad, and that's a root position triad. So I'm going to be watching these notes, but I'm not going to be playing them. I'm going to be playing the triads instead. Here's C, G. The pattern is so easy. D, A, E, B, G flat. I'm playing a G flat triad. Maybe I've never even done that before. G flat, D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat. Here's a B flat triad way up here. F, C. So I've just played triads around the circle of fifths. And I've just played some weird chords that maybe I've never played before. A D flat triad way up there. Like, now I'm using the circle of fifths and I'm having this other experience where I'm playing stuff that I've never played before, but I know what I'm doing. And that's where the circle of fifths starts to become really, really useful. One more example, and that is how you use the circle of fifths to apply new information to the neck. Let's just say we've got a new scale to learn, and it's the blues scale. I'm going to start on C, because that's where the circle starts. C blues scale looks like this. So now I'm just going to play the blues scale around the circle of fifths. Where are we? E. B. Here's G flat blues scale. D flat blues scale. What scale is this? A flat blues scale. E flat. B flat blues scale. F, and then back to C. Just played the blues scale around the circle of fifths. That's great. Never done that before. Maybe you've never done that before, maybe you have, but that is a way to take some new information and spread it around the neck. And maybe you don't ever use it like that, but you've had the experience of playing the blues scale in every key. That can't be a bad thing. Okay, very last thing I'm going to show you, and this is the hard part, and that is to look at the circle of fifths on a single string. The pattern I showed you before that goes back and forth from the A and the E string is sort of the easy way in. It's the easy way to map the circle to the neck. The hard way, and the way that really gets you some fretboard knowledge, is to map it to a single string and then do that on every string. So let's just give that a shot. We'll start on the A string simply because we've started the whole pattern on the A string. We'll give ourselves a break. Here's that C. Now we got to find the G on the same string, on the A string. G on the A string, you can find it one of two ways. You can count up on the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or you can go back from the 12th fret, which is a little bit easier since the G is sort of up here already. So that's A, right to the G. So C, G. Now we're looking for D. D happens to be on the 5th fret. Now we're looking for A. Well, it's open, but I'm going to play it up here. Now we're looking for E. That's on the 7th fret. Then we're looking for B. G flat. So now let's take our time. G flat, here's A, G, G flat. There it is, way up here. D flat. There was D back there. Down 1. I'm not going to do the whole thing because it's important for you to go check that out, like map it to every string. I could write down all the frets, I could give you the tablature, but the best way to do it is to go get it for yourself. When you get information for yourself, when you're the archaeologist, you get to keep it. It's not lost on some piece of paper somewhere. You've actually gone and found it. There it is, circle of fifths on the fretboard. So there's a set of ways to look at and think about the circle of fifths as a guitar player. Like I mentioned at the top, it's a little confusing. It's fifths in one way, it's fourths in another way, but these patterns and these applications, I think should give you a way to look at the circle of fifths, to sort of look at the guitar through the lens of the circle of fifths. So how is it useful for me? What can I do with it? I mean, because that's really what you want to know. You know, as a mystery out there that's confusing and is, you know, music theory mystery, it's not very useful. But hopefully these patterns will help you understand how it can be useful. And I hope it's super helpful. Again, I wanted to just thank Marty for having me on the channel. I'm hoping that these sort of music theory nuggets are helpful and help you as much as they have helped me become more of a musician, sort of leaving the sort of guitar player behind and starting to cultivate the musician behind the instrument. All right, I'll see you next time.
All right, thank you again to my guitar teacher, Chris Sherlin. You guys check out his YouTube channel in the link below. I would really appreciate that. And if you haven't yet, I would appreciate you subscribing here to Marty Music and clicking the bell notification. And then also I've got some great links down below for you to check out that will help your guitar playing. So thanks for all that, and hope to see you again real soon. Take care.